Bam! MC is in the house. What is going on, folks? This is Justin Garcia, also known as Master Chim, and welcome to the Warrior Stream. I'm here every single Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and you guys should continue to join me. What's up, Jesse? What's up, Jay Crustle in the house? As you guys jump on, just a quick bit of housekeeping. MasterChim.com. You'll see all my relevant links in the description wherever you're watching, except Twitter. I don't think Twitter allows for a description. But MasterChim.com. Get on my email list. I'm sending emails. They're free every single day. And, you know, I tend to be a little bit more volatile than the average content creator, so I never know when I'm going to get removed off of a platform. I have certainly a storied / checkered past with just about every platform there is. So while the going is good, make sure that you guys are getting over there and getting on that email list so you can get those emails. All right, Corey, what's going on? Two on Tom in the house. What's up, brother man? What's up, Jamie? Up in Canada and on Facebook. So quick question to you guys. Is there a delay between my video and my audio? Because I have spent a week trying to clarify this. I think I have fixed it. I've resolved it. But if it is still an issue, I'm getting rid of this service that I'm using, which is going to be a pain in the ass. But it's either that or just get a different set of equipment here. All right. Just let me know if it is synced up or if it is delayed. All right, we got guys jumping on. Sounds good on YouTube. Looks synced up currently. Oh, awesome. All right, well, hopefully it works. So basically what I had to do was I had to eliminate an echo cancellation feature that was activated unbeknownst to me. I also had to lower the resolution of the broadcast video, which I use a Canon camera, and I use a software, the Canon software, webcam EOS, whatever the fuck, to put this thing on. So if I'm not a member of that software subscription, there's a limit on the amount of resolution it allows to project anyway. So I don't even know why I'm explaining this. Probably more therapeutic than anything at this point, but it seems to be resolved. All right. So that being said, today we're talking about my man, Andrew Tate. Now, he's not my man, Andrew Tate. I never met the dude. But I think it is a very worthy conversation to have. I'd say that looking at what has been going on with the world in general, I think there are some undertones of narratives that we should really learn to sort of compensate for at this point. And I think, you know, and that's just a general position. And Andrew Tate's situation is certainly, I would say, indicative of that. So the whole point of where Andrew Tate is on the world's radar, it's a curious one because, you know, before getting into who he is as an individual, based on the cursory research I've done on Wikipedia and a brief Googling, he's somebody that I think started becoming he started getting a little bit of notoriety as a kickboxer. Andrew Tate was a legit kickboxer. He won a world championship at one point. He was ranked, pretty, prominently, for a good spell. So he's certainly legit in kickboxing. And you get a little notoriety from that. This is also when he was fighting. I think it was like the early 2000s. So it wasn't the grand stage it is today. The Conor McGregor, Daniel Cormier, and all these other big time combat athletes that are super famous, or boxing before that. Even kickboxing wasn't anywhere compared to boxing in terms of popularity. So whereas he was an established, successful kickboxer, it was, he was famous for a kickboxer, not necessarily beyond the scope of that little niche, industry. So then, and this is going by his Wikipedia, he was on Big Brother in 2016 on, and it was a British version of it. I think there used to be a Big Brother in the U.S., but in 2016, British reality show Big Brother. I'm familiar with it because I'm almost certain it used to be in the U.S. And basically, they take a bunch of strangers, put them in a house, hilarity ensues, right? So I think the Ultimate Fighter, the reality show from the UFC that I tried out for, many moons ago, auditioned for. And it wasn't necessarily a tryout. I auditioned for it. It was sort of like a Big Brother, a UFC Big Brother. So for anybody that doesn't know what Big Brother is. So Tate on that show appears, and this is, I think this is a valuable, observation here. Tate was thrown off the show eventually for hitting a woman with a belt. Both he and the woman said that they were friends and that it was consensual. I don't know. I didn't see the clip, whatever. But it's much ado about nothing, it appears to be, because the woman said, she was in on it. On the show, though, a lot of homophobic, racist comments. And I think it is definitely, worth mentioning that he was on a reality show. Now, I know there are a lot of clips being used today of Andrew Tate saying some really stupid shit. And some of it just seems so over the top. And before I went to his Wikipedia, I was looking at clips, like viral clips, things that got a bit of traction online, things that he said over the past few years. And some of them just were unique. It was almost like, how did this guy that says all this other stuff say this shit? It just so happens that I find out now that he was on the reality show Big Brother. When you are on a reality show, you have to understand what the dynamics are at play. So just a little background for me. I auditioned for season 6 of The Ultimate Fighter. I got flown to Vegas. I was whittled down to the last 20 people. 16 make the show. And when it was 20 people left, and I had a complete physical, I went and had a bunch of interviews with producers and stuff. That's why it was an audition. And they sent us home from Vegas with 20 of us basically still in the running for these 16 slots. So I'm like, listen, fucking 80%, I'm in there. I'm definitely going to get a spot. I get a call from a producer saying that I'm an alternate. I'm one of the 4 alternates. And it's like, you got to be shitting me. Well, the person who, and then the first, I think the first day or two of filming, somebody got injured. I didn't get put into the spot to replace that person. I was the second, from what the producers explained, the second alternate, because the first alternate that took the spot was the guy, what the fuck is his name? War Machine, right? War Machine, who had the porno girlfriend that beat her up, whatever. I'm on a tangent here. But all that being said, I really wanted to be on this show, mostly because I had an MMA school. I was a budding MMA fighter. I wanted, I had aspirations of becoming a top professional MMA fighter. And I'm like, you know what? This is what I should do, because I'm going to get the most eyes. I'm going to get, I understood business to the point where it's like, yeah, if I'm on this reality show and I have a following, I'm going to, garner a little bit more, attention and earning, power than if I were just coming up the ranks, a no name, and being at the mercy of, matchmaking and production value, whatever. So all that being said, I wanted to try out for the show, didn't make it. I get a call for season 7 from the producer that I was dealing with for season 6. Very nice woman. She calls me. She goes, Justin, I got good news. You're on the show. So this is season 7 now. I never auditioned for season 7. I didn't put my name in for season 7, but I had a favorable reputation amongst the producers of the show. According to this producer that was telling me, she said that I was going to be given a slot. Now, this was one of the first seasons where you had to fight to get into the house. So I was guaranteed a slot to fight. So I'd at least be on the first episode of the show in order to get into the house. And if I won my fight, I'd be in the house. That was the offer that was given to me. But by the time that this came around, I wanted nothing to do with it, The reason I wanted nothing to do with it is because in that season 6 that I auditioned for and not made it, they were recording people and on the show were showing people in the bathroom. Like there were cameras in the bathrooms. And now there's a point where, like people will hear that and it'll say, well, it's a reality show, and okay, that's fine. It's actually the fact of it. But I lost any desire to be on this show at that point because I didn't realize just how much I'd be sacrificing in terms of my autonomy being on this show. Aside from what is pretty, well understood and even expected to be incredibly biased editing, there was also like the fact that, they're recording people in the bathrooms. It's like, listen, I'm not here to just give my entire, identity to some producers to just do what they will. And I figured they just went over the lines. That was my take. So I declined. And she was like, what do you mean you declined? And obviously it wasn't a very, very common thing, her offering somebody a spot on the show and them going, nah, I'm good. But that's exactly what I did. So now fast forward. So my understanding of what's going on, in the world of reality TV, now you go to Big Brother, and Big Brother, I'm sure, is certainly much further over the top than the Ultimate Fighter would have been. Maybe not, but that's what my expectations would be. So Andrew Tate was on Big Brother. On these reality shows, not only are you, strategically edited to basically be the person that they've designed the narrative, of you being, but you are also instigated and incentivized by producers to act out, to be over the top, to basically garner as much attention as possible. And it sounds like that's exactly what Tate was doing. So the reason I went into that whole segue there, that whole side story, was because when I see videos of Andrew Tate saying shit that's just so over the top, where it's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm asking myself, okay, is he playing a character when he was on a reality TV show? Or was that some sort of brand that he was trying to, to establish early on because he wanted to get away from the kickboxing, identity, and I don't know. But what I will say is you could judge people by their actions, right? And I would say that, when looking at Andrew Tate as a whole, he's somebody that certainly has a lot of different preferences than I do, but is he somebody that's deceptive? Is he somebody that is, a menace to society? Is he somebody that, given what I know, would support the detention, of women and the human trafficking charges that are against him and all the allegations that are put against him? I would say no. I'd say there's really nothing that I've seen. And some people say, oh, well, you saw the video of him saying you should grab a woman, and smack her, and she wants to have sex after that, and, her panties get all wet after that. And like he said a lot of over the top shit where it's like, dude, like if I was his boy, I'd be off camera going, what the fuck are you saying? Stop. But again, I don't know if he's trying out for something, trying to be, popular when he didn't have anything going on. So pause that for a second. Let's now go back to look at his upbringing, right? So Andrew Tate is what we call a gravy, right? It's when one of your parents is black, one of them is white, and his father's black, mother's white, father's American, mother's English. The father and mother got divorced. Tate was born, and this is all via his Wikipedia. You can check it out there. He was born in D.C., and when his parents got divorced, when he was 11, the mother took them to England. And he grew up from that point on in England. And you could tell, too, because he's got like a weird accent, when he talks. But Andrew's pops was a super bright dude, chess master, great chess player, won a bunch of championships, ranked, all that stuff. And even Tate, it turns out, also, was a pretty efficient, effective chess player from an early age. So I don't think anybody will accuse Tate of being stupid, being low IQ or anything. But here's the thing: 11 years old, pre-puberty, right? You're knocking on the door to puberty as a young man, and that is when he basically lost his dad. Now, I don't think they were out of touch or anything like that, but one of the things that it mentions about his upbringing is that he lived in pretty much poverty. And being, a young man who's growing up in poverty, who doesn't have his father there are going to be certain attributes that you develop as coping mechanisms. There's going to be certain biases you develop, certain formulas you develop. I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood, and I had a lot of formulas that resembled that. A lot of those things wound up getting me in trouble. So having formulas that allowed you to sort of navigate your childhood that wind up sabotaging you along the way is something that I'm very familiar with. And I would say a lot of the brash, personality traits that Tate seems to have on display, I think a lot of that is just a testament to how he had to grow up in order to be successful. Now, right now, when we look at the world, and the climate, no pun intended with the whole Greta, whatever the hell her name is thing, but the political climate of the world, you could look at almost every outlet that I was researching to try and get more information about what was going on with Tate. They're all left-leaning, establishment mainstream media outlets. So it's all the usual suspects that are trying to destroy Tate online right now. That is telling, right? So there's a certain point, and I don't know when it happened, exactly, but I would say we're certainly we're at a point in society where we know that if there is a position or some sort of controversy and there's this side and this side, and every left-leaning, liberal, mainstream, corporate identity is all on one side, it's like, yeah, I'm just going to go over to the other side and just see what's what from there. Because that is how just completely separated, society seems to be. And there's really not a lot of negotiation because things are, I would say, dysfunctionally tribal, not organically tribal, but artificially tribal. You'll see a lot of people that will opt to maintain their membership in a group at the expense of any individual attribute that may be offset with what the group is identifying themselves as, right? So it's like if you're a black guy growing up in the U.S. right now, at some point you have to ask yourself, okay, am I supposed to be part of the black community? Or am I supposed to be part of the business community? Or can those two things coexist? I grew up in an area where if you spoke proper English, I had cousins, on the Puerto Rican side of my family, that used to tell me and my brother that we spoke white. You guys speak white. You speak like white people. And we know what that means. We know it's fucking proper English. But it was designated as being white. So there's a lot of people that are still, using these very dysfunctional labels to sort of identify who they are and the groups they're supposed to belong to. And I think when we look at society right now in mainstream media, it's done nothing but to encourage that. So I will say it's important, I would say, or significant at least, that just about every outlet that's going after Andrew Tate is a left-leaning, piece of shit, mainstream media outlet. The same outlets that corporations are running, and that they regurgitate the same lines and the scripts and talking points and all that other shit. So I think that is, it's curious at least. It tells me, okay, there might be a little bit more of a teamwork effort, to bring Andrew Tate down than people want to realize or acknowledge or admit. So that being said, now you look at what happened with Kanye West, right? So Kanye West is an interesting dude. Kanye West is somebody who is learning a lesson that I think many people understand through their experiences in life. Men of action understand this as just a factor, in life, a component of how the world works. We understand that there is always going to be a bigger predator, and we have to respect who that bigger predator is. We don't have to kowtow to them. We don't have to be beholden to them. We don't have to, volunteer to be submissive or passive to them. But we have to respect that they are there and just understand what conflicts we are instigating and what are the outcomes of that. Kanye West, or Ye, as he's known now, he's somebody who is experiencing that firsthand. Now, I'm not going to say that he's somebody that wasn't aware of it, that he didn't realize that was what was going to unfold the minute he started talking about the conspiracies, behind the curtains of society. You got to pay the house, and I think Ye, when he went in that direction, stopped paying the house, and the house came to collect. And not only is it, telling that, he was basically, Kanye West was basically taken off of everything and, dropped by all his sponsors and this and that. That is almost expected. That's to be expected. But I think what people need to wrap their head around is just how many people threw him away also because of all of those, mainstream, controllers, because they PNG'd him, persona non grata, because they PNG'd Ye, there are just regular people, men and women, who were like, yeah, fuck that guy. Because all these different people, these different outlets, these different businesses are saying, fuck that guy, so fuck that guy. And I think, that is what we need to sort of understand when we're dealing at a certain scale, talk about the landscape of society on a global scale. Like, there are people, there are predators, there are controllers, there is the house, and we have to understand what those rules are. Again, Kanye might have very well known that this is, the path that he was going to take. And I think with Andrew Tate, I think he's learning that right now. Because before, we start talking about the charges that were put against him, you got to understand, it's like if you're somebody who's being charged with any, crime, and you think that you're good because, or the outcome is going to be favorable because you didn't do it, it's like you really need to get out a little bit more. You need to read a little bit more. You need to talk to people. You've been through some shit a little bit more. Because whether or not you did it, it's going to be a matter of, I would say, convenience or maybe self-satisfaction, that you didn't do it. And if you didn't do it, you feel okay that you didn't do it. Never mind the fact that you're still being charged and maybe even potentially convicted of doing something. But if you didn't do it, as long as you know you didn't do it, you're happy. Like, okay, no problem. But if you're somebody who actually thinks that the justice systems, are going to also realize you didn't do it, and therefore, you're good as gold. It's like I use an example. I was explaining this to my sons the other day, and it's like renting a house, a cabin in the woods, and you go to that cabin, and there's a bear in the cabin. And you refuse to leave the cabin because you rented it and you have the paperwork. And, you're the one who's supposed to be in this cabin. This bear's not supposed to be in this cabin, so that bear has to leave. It's like, it's ridiculous even talking about this, this hypothetical. But to me, when I look at people that are operating under the assumption that because they are factually correct, that the outcome of their circumstances is going to reflect that, I just see a naivete that children should have, So Andrew Tate, not only is he not paying the house and playing at a scale and pissing people off at a scale at a level that he doesn't really respect, he's also doing it in fucking Romania, right? So this is not even like, he is in small town USA and the local sheriff's out to get him, the local mayor, there's just a different level to the way things work in different parts of the country. And I would say that ironically, somewhat, humorously, if you're so inclined, you could watch videos of Tate saying that he loves the fact that in Romania, if he gets pulled over, paraphrasing him, of course, if he gets pulled over for speeding, he could just bribe the cop and let him go. Like, he appreciates that about that area of the world. Well, what happens when people with bigger pockets than you, with longer strings than you, are now moving pieces that are out of your control in such an environment? It's just one of those where it's like, well, what are you doing? Now, I don't buy the whole, there was a pizza box and he revealed where he was. And like, if you've seen like the scale at which Andrew Tate and his crew operates, I'm pretty sure everybody knows where he is, right? There was a great scene in The Sopranos back in the day, and it was, I don't know if it was Paulie and Silvio or Paulie and Chris. I don't know. I know it was definitely Paulie and somebody else. They went to a local, like, it looked like a Starbucks or something. If it wasn't a Starbucks, it was made to look like a Starbucks. And corporate, retail coffee shop. And it was in their neighborhood where they controlled, the mob, the show Sopranos. And Paulie and whoever go into this, and they basically try to shake the manager down. And the manager is just like completely, he doesn't even understand how any of this works. Like what, like the context in which they're being suggestive. Like, he doesn't even understand. Like, so he's saying, yeah, well, you can call corporate, and once corporate, you hear from corporate, they'll send you down. They'll respond to you, and there's a process that you can go through. And it was just like they realized they weren't going to be able to shake down this corporate store. The whole thing is, Andrew Tate is not beyond the environment like that Starbucks was beyond that crew in Jersey. Andrew Tate is operating in Romania. Now, by the way, I'm not accusing anybody of corruption or anything like that. But what I am saying is that there are a lot of people in the West who have certain assumptions that, well, these things should be handled a certain way because we, in our biases, we consider that to be, the way a justice system should work. I admit I'm somebody who believes that the U.S. system is the best system that we have. Not a perfect system, obviously, but the best system that we have. That being said, I don't make any, sort of jokes or assumptions or even expectations that in Romania, it's supposed to be like it is in the U.S. It's different at a minimum. So he is now operating in an environment where he does not know everybody that's in control of everybody that he thinks that's in control. There are levels to this. There are scales to this. I don't know how much Andrew Tate is worth, but if he's worth $1 billion or over $1 billion, I'm going to look up right now. Kanye West's net worth. All right, this is from October. Kanye West, 2022, October, was listed as having a net worth of about $7 billion. So in this article, when his net worth was considered to be around $7 billion, the first sentence of this article, and this is a CNN business article. Rapper Ye's falling out with corporate partners has cost him his status as a billionaire. On Tuesday, Forbes, one of the leading trackers of wealth among the world's financial elites, declared it had dropped Ye from its list of billionaires. It estimated the Adidas deal accounted for $1.5 billion of his net worth, but Forbes now estimates it to be at a mere $400 million. So now here's the thing. I don't know how much Kanye West is worth, but at one point it was billions. And he wasn't able to stop all of this. I guarantee you Andrew Tate ain't nowhere near billions. So of course he's going to be within the reach of these people. So now, why am I even saying this? Like, am I saying that's why you should keep your head down and be a good boy and follow the rules and listen to the... No, I'm not saying that shit at all. But what I am saying is when we're looking at all of the outrage, the moral outrage that is being put against Tate, I just question its integrity. Why are you so seemingly wishful that Andrew Tate actually did the things he's being accused of and that he's going to be found guilty of it? So Andrew Tate is basically being accused of trafficking women, holding them against their will, rape, forcing women to perform sex acts for pornography. A whole ton of just grimy shit. It's very difficult for somebody to make a distinction. I will attempt to make this distinction, but it's very difficult for somebody to make the distinction between... It's very difficult for the average person, the normie, average normie, to make the distinction between somebody who holds women against their will, rapes them on occasion, forces them to perform sex acts for online pornography, and somebody who runs a pornography, industry or empire that's full of drugs and violence and just the bottom of the barrel layer of character and ethics and integrity and morals. A lot of people just put those two groups together. And for me, I think that there are a lot of reasons that I think Andrew Tate is a scumbag. And the major thing is, he talks about how he made his first $1 million, right? How he made his first, momentum of earnings. And it was through webcams. And as he's described on multiple platforms, he would basically get some girl to fall in love with him, and then he would proposition her to become a webcam girl. Now, the way he describes it, which, you could take with a grain of salt, is, and I'm very proud to say, I've never hired a webcam girl. So I don't know the culture of webcamming, and what that relationship looks like. But he says that, listen, if you're a good-looking girl and you know how to talk, you don't have to take your clothes off. There are guys that will just pay to have a pretty girl interested in them and talk to them and pay attention to them. And these guys... Now, I've been to enough strip clubs to know that is a dynamic that men succumb to on a regular basis. You have some woman who's shaking her ass, doing whatever she's doing, and let me bring you to the VIP room so you can give me a whole bunch of more money so I can do the same thing that I was doing on stage, but now, close to you. What was it? P.T. Barnum, a sucker's born every day, some shit like that, every minute. So the dynamic of men, weak men, I would say unmasculine men, trying to buy the favor of attractive women through these artificial means, like, that's pretty well established. So is it possible that these women can make a shit ton of money just by being basically webcam girls, therapists, strippers, like whatever? It's like, yeah, I could see it. He says it's up to the girls whether they want to get naked or not. Now, is he saying that, yeah, I should, or is he saying that I've never forced a girl to take her clothes off? Like, yeah, that's what he's saying. Is he saying he's never forced a girl to stay, working for him? Yeah, that's what he's saying. When he talks about the first time he even proposed this business idea, it was to like a group of girls that he was all seeing. And he was like, yeah, basically like, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make a lot of money. And he says in the story that two of them left and the other two stayed, and those are his first girls. And eventually that's what he did. So now here's the thing. Selling sex, being a part of the sex industry, I think is one of the causes of erosion in the morality of Western civilization. Yeah, that's my position. So if you're somebody who makes his money by selling, that corrosive, destructive element, I'm going to have an issue with your morals. But there is also something to be said for how Andrew Tate describes himself and his morals. And when you're looking to dissect maybe not the value, but I would say certainly the utility of of an individual's persona, you look for consistencies versus inconsistencies. And with Andrew Tate, aside from that over the top, almost, performance level, just cringe, shit that he's put out there, there's not a lot of inconsistency. I think that most of the people that are against him right now don't like the way he speaks. They don't like that he's very dismissive of weak individuals. And if you're a weak individual, you very much want to promote the type of society that props you up as being equal through no accomplishment or effort of your own. You are a marginalized individual, therefore you have a certain gravity and a certain weight to what it is that you say. Well, that's unnatural. And a guy like Andrew Tate doesn't really play that game. And the fact that he's successful and that sort of arrogant and boisterous about those positions, it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I even saw a bunch of conservative individuals, just jumping on the bandwagon against Tate. And listen, I get it. There's somebody who, if you're somebody who it just rubs you the wrong way that this guy has to do with the sex industry, and he talks about, about women in relationships as being property and all these different like if you're somebody who's like just taking such an issue with those points, like, yeah, do you, by all means. I'm not that sensitive. I'm not that reactionary when it comes to things like that, because I understand that there's always a spectrum on which men live in this world. And it's very difficult to me to agree with somebody who wants to condemn an individual for being, this person, yet you look at who they interact with on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and they're amongst the players that they are contributing to the same, fucking just gang of hooligans, pedophiles, murderers, criminals. It's the same quality of individual. But they don't take these hard stances against those individuals, and it's because of convenience. So I question the motives or even the efficacy of somebody who cathartically wants to badmouth Tate. When you look at who they deal with on a daily basis, and they don't have a consistent approach when it comes to these morals and this, this sensitivity to outrage, and being triggered, left and right. So, like I've done business with criminals. I've done business with bad guys. I've done business with people who span the spectrum of society in terms of legality. you own a school for 20 years in the Bronx, you're going to run into some curious characters. And for me, if I look at somebody as, well, this guy hates women, therefore I don't want to deal with him, or this guy is a drug dealer, I don't want to deal with him, this guy is a pimp, I don't want to deal with him. If I had that approach to dealing with individuals, then I'd have to be consistent. And does that mean that I don't shop at any stores or use any online services where the ownership has been accused of and maybe even convicted of certain crimes? Do I look at there was a great moment on Twitter a couple of weeks ago where Alyssa Milano said she was getting rid of her Tesla because I guess Elon Musk is a Nazi now. And she said she was going to drive her Volkswagen instead. And I forget, I think it was the Hodge twins that replied that the Volkswagen company was literally founded by Nazis, and it was just that hypocrisy. So the thing is, it's kind of hard to just be absolute unless you're going to live a life as an aesthetic, like where you are just sitting, in the woods on a rock meditating all day. It's very hard to not get in your own way when you start having all of this moral outrage in a universal sense. So that being said, how do we start making these distinctions? Well, to me, it's like, okay, number one, is Andrew Tate in my tribe? No, he's not in my tribe. So how he looks to make his money and what he does has a limited effect on my alliance with him because he's not part of my tribe. I mean, I literally don't know the background of the guy that I buy pizza from down the road. Was he ever convicted of doing these things? Should I be obligated to do these sorts of background checks with individuals before I have any interactions with them, build any alliances with them? Should I have a complete criminal background on an Uber driver before I hire him? Or if I find out that my Uber driver has a checkered past of immorality, should I not use Uber then because they hire this guy? We have to get this shit straight, or we're just going to wind up being hypocrites, right? So for me, Andrew Tate's not in my tribe. And then I look at, well, how does he take care of the people that are in his tribe? I look at his brother. I look at his, obviously, listen, it doesn't take a fucking psychologist, a clinical psychologist to say Andrew Tate is a guy that grew up, he's a product of a biracial marriage. He grew up away from his father from 11 years old. He moved to a completely different country at 11 years old and lived in poverty and grew up to become a fighter. It's like, why does Andrew Tate hate women? It's like, why does he have, maybe not hate women, maybe that's not the way to put it, but why does he seem to not have this same protective drive towards women? Why is he somebody who does not, fall victim to any, traditional, Western applications of chivalry and the protection and provision for the women in our lives? It's like, well, obviously he's got mommy issues. Obviously, there's some stuff that he went through with his mother, having left his father, having grown up in poverty, and I don't know the specifics, but it doesn't take a fucking clinical psychologist to realize he's got some issues, and these issues have led to preferences that I, for one, am not going to judge. It's like, listen, if this guy held one woman against her will, fucking have your way with him. Fuck him. Because he's a dysfunctional member of society. But if he's somebody that convinces a fucking adult woman to sell herself, her sexuality online to make money, it is not compatible with my culture. It's not compatible with my morality. But my morality is very, very consistently understood to be an in-tribe code and set of ethics. So I don't put that on him. So what do I think about him? I think that he has a lot of positions that are very abrasively delivered, and that is enough for a lot of people to condemn him. So I don't abide by any of those conditions. I'm looking at for face value what it is that he's saying, and from what I understand, a lot of people that have done business with him, a lot of people that have interacted with him, they have just as many good things to say about him. I'm somebody that, over the last 20 years, like I've had people accuse me of being a lot of things. I've had, people say that I'm a racist. I'm racist. I'm all the is. I'm all of that. And in the beginning, I'll be honest, like I was fucking pissed off when this used to happen. Like, you don't fucking know me, motherfucker. You don't. And after a while, it's like, all right, you start to understand, what drives these people. The fact that a lot of them, don't have consequence, behind any of their choices. Yeah, they have at it. It's like, why not? Imagine you had a slot machine. And the slot machine, if you hit the jackpot, you win $1 million. But now here's the thing. The slot machine's free. How many times are you going to pull the fucking arm of the slot machine? As many times as you can. Why? Because there's no consequence. But the potential positive is that you hit for $1 million. So all these people that are talking shit about Andrew Tate, that are condemning him, like there's no consequence to their actions. And they could potentially be getting support and networking from people who feel that same way. Or they're rewarded by their social group for going along with the sentiment that a guy like Andrew Tate should be condemned at every opportunity. It's just not something that I agree with, obviously. So he's accused of this. He was detained, right? That was the language they use. And apparently it's like a Romanian thing. They'll detain you. But then the prosecutor basically asked the judge to hold him, his brother, and two females who were the other part of that business for 30 days. The judge agreed, which is why they're still, there. But I'm somebody who's like, listen, I haven't seen any fucking proof of this. There are people who are like, he stole women and he tricked them and he used what you're hearing now on a lot of the lefty rags or the boyfriend model of human trafficking. And it's like, listen, I just don't get, like, I don't get the outrage. Like what, like there hasn't been any proof of anything. And if there is proof, then fuck that guy. But why is everybody so upset? That's one of the things I don't get. Like, listen, if this guy actually did all these things, fuck him. If he didn't, all right, then we know that people were out to get him. But whether it's one or the other, why is everybody so fucking emotional about it? Because of who he represents, what he represents. The narrative of taking everything that every weak member of society has been trying to convince us is reality, and he's been throwing it on its fucking head. I could relate to the fucking job because I've been at it for 10 years myself, online. There are people who want him to be guilty. Now, you understand, if, like, there's a difference between him not being guilty and him being guilty of trafficking and rape and all these different things. If he's guilty, that means that it actually happened. That means that there were the women who were actually victimized in that way. If it didn't happen, if he's not guilty of it, that means none of that happened. That means there weren't women that were attacked. There were. So again, when looking to be consistent, it's like, why would you want him to be guilty? And it's not, listen, I saw this huge pile of overwhelming evidence. Therefore, I want him to be found guilty. Hashtag OJ, right? No, it's, I hate this man. And here's a chance to get him sent to prison forever. I don't care if it's true or not. I just want him found guilty. And you just got to ask yourself who you are if that's how you think about people you've never met. Let me get to some of the comments here. All right, man. Good crew today. What's going on, folks? Bunch of people I didn't say hello to that popped in. Johnny Groob, Big Ant, Utgard, Derek, Monk. All right, let me start clicking on these. Brian Wilton, what's up, brother man? Jamie Martin says, what's up? Jamie says, a dude sounds like a degenerate of maybe a lesser degree than a greater, but a degenerate's a degenerate at the end of the day. And then he adds, when degenerates eat degenerates, we all win. And I agree. Because here's the thing. I'm somebody, Western civilization, innocent till proven guilty, right? So there's a bunch of different levels here. And because people they aren't incentivized to develop any nuance in their approach to dealing with life. Everything needs to be this or that for people. And my whole thing is, like, Andrew Tate's a scumbag because he produces pornography, which is one of the biggest leaders of the erosion of Western culture and Western civilization. Porno is bad, all right? I've watched more porno than probably all of you, all right? So let me not claim to be some fucking, priest here. Maybe that's not a good example, but you understand what I mean. So I'm not somebody who is sitting here going, I am morally superior to you all. It's like, no, porno is fucked up. The same way almost TikTok's fucked up. Like, you guys notice I don't have a TikTok account, right? I don't do TikTok. Why? Because the format is too much for young minds to be able to deal with and maintain a semblance of control over their identity. They can't fight it. It's too much. The format of the short-term videos, the dopamine hits, like, it is too much for young minds. This is proven at this point. That's why I don't fuck with TikTok. Porno is like TikTok for men. Maybe TikTok is like porno for kids. I don't know, right? But either way, it's something that is not helping society. So it's something I don't want to support. So you look at Andrew Tate, and he's somebody who has made a shit ton of money, with these webcams and things like that. That's his choice. There's a limit, and because that's his choice, and because that is his morality, there would just be a limit to how much of an alliance a guy like he and I could have. But to me, that's the way that I look at it. I'm not pissed off that somebody like Andrew Tate exists. It's like, think about how much we know about Tate and all these different things, the pictures. Like, has anybody seen Epstein's list yet? Like, a fucking president went to Epstein's island. Epstein was convicted of the same fucking things. Like, I still see these motherfuckers that are going after Tate. They ain't had shit to say about Clinton. They didn't have shit to say about fucking Hillary. When Hillary was fucking trying to silence all the accusers, against Bill Clinton, all these fucking leftists didn't have much to say about that. So it's just the inconsistency. So I refuse to jump on any bandwagon with these fucking people when they're so blatantly fucking hypocritical, right? What's up, Logan? Logan says, wish I could have explained all this to my lefty coworker the other morning. He took such pride in being able to finally have something to attack me for, as if I'm Tate's personal avatar. And absolutely. And the thing is, it's just black and white with these people. Let's take Donald Trump as an example. Donald Trump, I think, on paper, is going to go down as one of the greatest presidents in American history. That being said, I truly hope he does not fucking become our president, unless it's between him and somebody on the other side. I'm not a sycophant of Donald Trump. But here's the thing, I needn't be a sycophant of Donald Trump in order to support his presidency in 2016. I needn't be a sycophant to say that I would choose him over Hillary Clinton 1,000 fucking times out of 1,000. All that being said, though, I also hold Donald Trump responsible for the Supreme Court justices that he promoted, which is fucking incredible. But just the same, I hold him responsible for not getting rid of the fucking the Fauci fucking shadow gang that existed in the government that led to the complete mishandling of the fucking pandemic. Donald Trump was Mr. Vaccine. Remember that. Still to this day, he still doesn't want to lose the credit for having that vaccine fucking streamlined, so fast-tracked. So he refuses to denounce, any criticisms or refuses to criticize anything about the vaccine and the way it's been handled. Like, at this point, 2023 we're at right now, the data is already there. Masks don't work. The vaccine was just about insignificant to the categories of people who was trying to help. Lockdowns didn't work. Social distancing was bullshit. This is all now data, like peer-reviewed data. Check out Ivor Cummins. He just put out a video the other day which succinctly delivers a lot of the stuff that I was just referring to. All that being said, Donald Trump could have went a bunch of different directions, but he would have lost popularity. He thought he would have lost clout. He surrounded himself with fucking idiots. But here's the thing. I could, at the same time, support him for president in 2016 and have all these criticisms of him because nothing exists in a vacuum. So similarly, you have a guy like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is spot on with a lot of shit. You know, people at some point, like at a larger scale of society, they'll start to realize when these, you know, alpha fucking Chad energy motherfuckers pop out with muscles and don't give a fuck about anybody, and every angry young man wants to listen to them. You guys think that's a fucking coincidence. You think like, why is this such a fucking mystery to you people? Why this is? It's because we're not letting young men be men. By the way, like, everything's fucking gay now. Everything's fucking immigration, diversity. Like, it's all fucking nonsense. But so long as we're supposed to stay quiet in order to be moral, like, people are going to get outraged when somebody goes against the grain. Well, here's the, like, my morals are based on what I feel are natural morals. I believe in the utility of tribe, the utility of family, the utility of a strong man who knows how to protect his wife and children. I believe in marriage. I've been married almost 19 years. Oh, nowhere in the animal kingdom do you see monogamy practice. Oh yeah, well, nowhere in the animal kingdom do you see fucking iPhones and fucking spaceships either. It's like, okay, like, there's a limit to these things. Like, our morals should be a little bit more sophisticated. You know, it should be congruent in a universal sense, but it's going to be different, right? So when you look at, you know, how people react to a guy like Andrew Tate, it's like as soon as you see they don't like him because of how he acts and how it's like, and by don't like him, I mean they have an emotional reaction to how he delivers his message. It's just, you just understand the caliber of individual you're dealing with. It's like, all right, so he called some woman a cunt and you're really angry about that? You're upset about that? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you just haven't had enough volatility in your life to see things so fucking plainly, you know? Ironically, you don't have enough diversity in your experiences, right? There's nuance to this shit, you know? And the thing is, we can't be put in a box at every time there's some sort of disagreement on a large scale. It's like, no, there's going to be some nuance to this. The gray areas is where we all reside on most issues. All right, and we have to have the wherewithal to understand not only that it's okay to have those positions that are nuanced, but also that other people are going to have those nuanced positions, which means at some point, if we're dealing with them, we're going to have to be able to accommodate the fact that they don't agree with us on something. This is how alliances are made, right? Al Jitsu says Tate is great entertainment. You know, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Al, because that is one of the things that a lot of people don't want to fucking admit either. Tate is fucking hysterical. You know, when he's going after, my favorite is when, like, he's on these, and it might be one fucking show. I might have seen different clips of one show, but when he is, like, sitting on a podcast with a bunch of just, like, Bhutan-looking bimbos, and they're all about, you know, my independence and my this and my that, and he just fucking crushes them, you know, point by point, you know, with stuff that every man knows is true, but most men nowadays don't have the balls to admit is true in front of the women of their lives. It's like there's no fucking way. There's just no fucking way. I don't tell my wife what to do. I am not in charge of my wife. But I chose my wife because what she chooses to do and what she wants to do is congruent with what I think a wife should be doing. So it has nothing to do with, who's in charge. And as if there's some authoritative element to my relationship with my wife. It's that I chose my wife because her approach to being a wife is congruent with my expectations of what a wife should be. So it has nothing to do with who's in control of what. My wife takes care of the children. My wife takes care of my home. But you know what? When money's tight or businesses are going up and down and I'm trying to get creative and make things balance out so my kids and my wife have everything they need, she doesn't hear about it. She doesn't hear about it. When my wife gets upset because, I don't know, there was traffic or the supermarket was busy, or I am happy that I have allowed her to have a relationship with life that allows her to look at those things as obstacles. I will fight every battle in war without putting it on my family every day of my life, gladly. This is the dynamic we have. I will sacrifice everything for them. This is the dynamic we have. And if my wife ever came up to me one day, she wouldn't, but if she ever come up to me one day and say, you know what, I'm tired of staying home, I want to go and get a job, I want to earn money, I'd like, you're fucking crazy. No. Now, what does no mean? Does no mean that I'm forbidding her from doing, no. It means that I'm not agreeing to that. So we're going to have to now negotiate what that looks like. You're saying you're going to do that. I'm saying I'm not going to sit by and abide while you do that, while keeping every other aspect of our alliance together. Therein lies the negotiation. But this is why it's so important to find yourself around women as men, talking to you men now, find women who are compatible with the morals and the culture that you want. Not the woman that gives you the most attention, or the one that has the prettiest face or the biggest tits, or the ones that all the guys really think are hot, or even worse, the one that, oh man, she makes a lot of money. Oh man, yeah, I'm getting with this girl, she makes a shit ton of money. It's like, all right, you're one of those people. Okay, again, it's just there's a limit to what our alliance is going to look like. Should women work? Well, fucking, I don't give a fuck if women work. That's up to them. That's up to each individual home. All I know is I'm not having strangers raise my children. When I look at a man who has his newborn child and he's bottle feeding the newborn child and he's getting up because it's his turn to take care of the baby, I want to fucking vomit on him. I'm so disgusted with him. And it has nothing to do with that's the woman's job. But it's like, no. Like, how are you going to be the best man you could be if you're spending half your time trying to be a mother? Men today have been convinced that mothering their children is virtuous somehow. I have 4 children, 16, 13, 10, and 7. I've changed maybe 4 diapers. I've never got up to feed one of my children. Like, that's not, but those people that know my family, those people that have been around my kids, okay, tell me I'm fucking up. Tell me I'm not doing it right. And I was sharing a lot of these ideas before I had children. Nobody wanted to listen to me. Oh, you'll see when you have kids. Or about marriage. Oh, you'll see when you get married. Okay, well, here I am now, motherfuckers. So fucking soft. So what's the final verdict on Tate? Tate is somebody who is very brash, who has a delivery that's not for everybody. Some of his preferences are incompatible with my own. If he called me and it's like, hey, MC, I got this, I'm expanding my webcam business. I need you to do this, and you got a chunk of the business. You got 20 points on the monthly gross. Nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, but no thanks. Because it's just incompatible. I'm friends with too many people that jump on either side of the fucking law to sit here and act like I'm some moral model that all society should emulate. Like, no, that's not me. That's not me. And I look at a guy like Andrew Tate, nothing that I've seen about him suggests that he's somebody that should be avoided because of that either. Sure, he has some incompatible moralities. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with producing pornography. Just, money's a big thing to him. Anybody, when money's a big thing, at some point, it's at the expense of something else. Right? I believe in strong, family-driven, tribal men that are balanced in their approach. They understand that being a man is nuanced, right? Again, a lot of these people that they need everything to be black and white, it's hard to get them to understand what the nuance of a man is. Men don't cry. Like, no, of course men cry. By the way, any man, if you need to cry, cry. It has nothing to do with men not being able to cry. It has to do with, well, what are you crying over? If crying is the level of stress and trauma that you're experiencing, that you need that cathartic ritual, that physiologically anchored catharsis of crying, I just question, where is the point where that needs to happen? And does that point occur before you've done your job? In other words, is doing your job as a man too traumatic for you? Right? And the term we call men like that are pussies. Right? So just don't be a pussy. Doesn't mean you can't cry. You can cry. I remember a couple years back, one of my teenage students died in a car accident, 18 years old. Had the fucking world like just ahead of him. Everything. This kid was just great in every fucking way. Stupid accident. Dead. Instant. I sat at his casket at the wake and I cried like a little baby for fucking 10 minutes. I couldn't breathe. I was crying so hard. I'm not ashamed to admit that. But just don't be a fucking pussy and cry because your wife left you, or because you got fired, or because your fucking team lost. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? But that's the thing. There's nuance to masculinity, and most people don't want to take the time to learn it because it doesn't fit their model of reality. It might not fit within the rules of the game that they're currently winning. No, we can't do that. Andrew Tate's got to be a bad guy. And it's usually more nuanced than that. All right, guys, that was pretty good. I had fun. Here's the thing. This shirt right now is for sale. It's my new shirt, Anti-Mortem shirt. If you guys have been listening or reading the emails, I've been breaking down every aspect of the 5 rules of Anti-Mortem. I'll be writing one and delivering another one later on this afternoon. But do I have my... Yep, here it is. I'm putting the listing here in the chat /comments for this shirt. So if you like my work and you want to support it, please do me a favor and get this shirt. This anti-mortem mindset is something I've been working on for a while. If you guys have seen the chart and everything on the various platforms, my social media platforms, you see that there's a little bit more to it than just a saying. But this is the shirt that I produced first because I wanted something to be able to wear, to bring it up in discussions, remind myself what it means and what it means to me. So masterchim.com, get on the email list. All the other links are in the description. Get the shirt. I just put the link there. Share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And I will be here next week. At a minimum, maybe before that, we'll see. But I appreciate all of you guys. And as always, brothers and sisters, pressure to power.